Hello, my name is Christian, and I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I know you guys going to love today's guest. Not only is he amazingly good in what he does, he is an entrepreneur. He is a coach. He is a business strategist. All the things I wanted to do, but more than anything, he's an amazing human being. And our full-time or long-time listeners know we kind of did this thing where we did this ethical stocking thing. I need a better name. But one of the things we absolutely loved about him is that the message he sends is consistent. That the things he stands for is what he stood for a very long time. And more than anything, he's an amazing human being. With that, I want everybody to meet Mr. Alvin. Thanks for coming on the Disruptive Chef Show.
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to hanging out and chatting with you.
Yeah, same here. So tell us where you're calling in from and how did this whole thing start?
Yeah. So right now I live in Stuttgart, Germany. So I'm calling you or dialing in from there. And it's quite a lovely place. How did all this start? Like, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess how long do you have really? But I guess on a very, very high level, your listeners can probably guess from my accent. I've got an Australian accent. But I was born in Fiji. Then when I was a kid, my folks moved to Melbourne, Australia. That's where I did all my growing up, my business buying and selling. And then midway through the pandemic, Melbourne, Australia had the worst lockdowns in the world. I'm sure everybody heard about it. And you really couldn't do anything. My wife is from Germany. So we decided, that this was not the life we wanted to live. So I sold my last business. She quit her job and we moved to Germany, basically to where she grew up. And so that's how we ended up here. And I've been here nearly 4 years now, which has been so much fun.
That is awesome. So we've been kind of doing a little snooping around on you, and there was a few things we absolutely loved about you. And one of them was that you said, hey, early in my career, I faced some skepticism around hiring a business coach. I want to know more about that because you talk quite often about that and you got a little bit of grief back and from your friends. So how did that start? Why did you hire somebody? When did you know you needed somebody? So talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I bought my first business when I was really young. I was 27 years old, and I trained as a pharmacist. So I went to university as a pharmacist, and consequently, my first business that I bought was a pharmacy-based business. And so I knew very little about running a business and very little about what you needed to do. And I guess I was just a pharmacist, right? Dealing with patients and that kind of thing. But very soon, once I got into the business, I quickly realized, oh my God, I'm spending all my time here. And I'm very much a lifestyle guy. Later on, I learned about values and what makes me happy and so on and so forth. And so I was trying to figure out why I wasn't so happy doing all these things. And I had heard of Tony Robbins. I had heard of other coaches, and that prompted me to reach out to find a coach to figure out, how I could be helped in this situation. And, at that time, I had also read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, which is a real seminal book, right, about when you start to want to grow your business, work on it, so on and so forth. So I went looking around in Melbourne, Australia, looking for a business coach. I found one. And as part of, I guess anything, you ask your friends for referrals, right? So I don't want to upset many pharmacists, but I guess I still am a pharmacist, so I'm allowed to. But a lot of pharmacists are pretty, we think we know everything. We know we're so smart, we don't need to get outside help. So a lot of people I was speaking to, why do you need a business coach? What are you doing? You don't need any help. This is generally how you do it, and you can figure it out all yourself. So I got quite a lot of grief in the beginning from my peers and my family all around me. But once I started talking to a few different business coaches and I eventually found the right business coach for me, it really just helped me take my business and my life to the next level.
I absolutely love that. And when people kind of start following you and learn more about you, there's one thing you always talk about, and that's you said, hey, early in my career, you learned something really important. You discovered your why. So do you want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Knowing your why, and I talk about this all the time with my own clients as well, but understanding, and Simon Sinek does it very, very well. He explains it really well, but essentially understanding why you're sort of getting up in the morning, why you're doing the things to do, why you want to do the things you do, why you have to do the things that you do. So basically just taking time to figuring all of that out really just helps everything become so much easier, because once you truly understand what you want to do, and then eventually when you can get to the stage like what you start to set up your life so you would love to do, then everything becomes so much easier. So I think understanding that why is so important. And very few people take the time to figure that out, right? I mean, one, it does appear to be a little bit woo-woo. Two, there is a process involved, right? And if you're reading books, you can sort of kind of follow the process. But I think the big why moment can happen, and it doesn't always, but it certainly happened for me, is when you work through your why with somebody else, right? You get someone to challenge you, prompt you, get you to think deep, because quite often when you're on your own, you just do some service level thinking. You're not really being pushed to go deeper. And that's where all the good stuff is, right? Pretty much deeper inside of you that you need to bring out and to truly understand your why.
Yeah. I love that. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about that, because one of the things you keep talking about is it was so impactful for you that you totally reinversed or re-engineered your life. So can you talk to us a little bit? What was that process like? And how did that shape your career and your personal development?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was running my businesses, the first one, when I first got started and I first got my coach, I was pretty frustrated because I thought, man, I'm running a business and, I didn't know how to do all this work. I just really wasn't happy doing all the things that one needed to do, right? And so when I first got my business coach, and his name's Casey Golan, thank you so much, what a legend. So he walked me through a process of really making sure, like, getting to that why component. So what's really important to you in life? It was about taking a step back so that we could have this as the goal, if you will, or the thing that we're working towards, and making sure that everything around us supports us to getting to that goal and whatever makes us happy, right? So your business is one part of it, your health and fitness is one part of it, your relationships are another part of it. So really, Casey got me to see that all of these things are sort of connected in a way. Yeah. And by really understanding, I guess, what we call now our values, so whatever is really important to you that makes you happy, you can start to reverse engineer everything like that. So by doing those tough exercises, we did a strengths test and all these other tools that he had in his toolkit, really understanding what makes me happy. So for me, my biggest value is freedom. I hate being tied down. I love to be able to do the things that I want, to get up and do the things whenever I want. And if I'm put in a situation where I can't do that, I immediately just get really grumpy, and it basically sucks for me. So to be running a business and finding that I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do, it really sucked. So that was the first impetus for me to start to do the work, which is identifying the values and then working backwards. So if I really love freedom, I love adventure, I don't like being tied down, what are the steps that I need to do to ensure that I don't get tied down in my business? And literally walking me through that process, which sounds easy, but it's hard, right?
I just wanted to say, you make it sound so easy, but you kind of, as people start learning about it, that's one thing you always talk about, and you talk about the whole practice of meditation and how that has had a huge impact in your life and your career. Can you talk to us a little bit? Where do you feel that kind of falls in? Also, what role does it play on that quiet reflection of what you always talk about? And how do you see this moving forward?
Great question. So I can't take any credit for my meditation. My dad's been meditating since he was a young man. So when I was born, my dad was always meditating. That was part of his daily practice. So I guess for my sister and I, we kind of saw him doing it. He did teach us a little bit, but I've always been that way inclined, like it was just a normal thing. So eventually when I got to being an adult, I started to discover my own meditation practice, and I tried a few different methodologies. And I eventually settled on a style of meditation called Vipassana, which we can talk about later if you like. So that's what I've been practicing Vipassana regularly now for about 25 years. And for me, it's a daily practice. And I think having that quiet time or working through the process, if you're familiar with Vipassana, your listeners might be, there's a particular technique that you do. And, you meditate an hour in the morning, hour in the evening. You go to retreats over the course of the year, every year, to spend 10 days in silence. But I think it's a really great process to ground you. And for me, it's like a recharge in the morning. When I get up in the morning and I meditate for an hour, I feel like, it sounds so cliche, not super calm, but it just allows me to work through my day in far more efficient fashion. So I think for me anyway, having some sort of practice like that has been super important in sort of #life.
So listen, I absolutely love that. For me, by the way, you are hardcore meditation because that's a lot more than I do. I believe in, for me, I do what is called the I am meditation. And for me, you know what the greatest thing about it is? More than anything else, it calms me because there's all this noise, there's all this stuff going on. And doing this, it kind of resets itself. I think that's the best way of describing it. For me, we've been doing it now since 2020, about 20 years. And there was a few things I noticed, like everybody. I was like, I'm busy, I don't have time to do it. Oh, I do 10 minutes. And you laugh, you know where my next question is coming from. Because for me, spending that time in the morning is going to make me more productive during the day. Hands down, I don't care what you do, you need to do something. And so I want to know with you, because you talk about this all the time, consistency and showing up for that. So can you help us how that's helped you stay not just aligned with your values and scaling and doing the business, but how it helped you to be a better human being?
Yeah. Absolutely. And you don't need to be doing an hour every day or whatever, 5 minutes and whatever works for you is so sufficient for a lot of people. And it's really, I think when you take that time out for reflection and in whatever way that you go through that process, your meditation process, I think it's so useful for basically helping you understand yourself a lot better. And thereby projecting yourself outwards during the day, you just become so much calmer. You can handle situations a lot better. So I think it's so important to at least take some time to start that process. And it doesn't have to be meditation, right? You can have a mindful walk. You can write in your journal. A lot of people get this way when they play sports, go to the gym, or just some sort of activity where it sort of grounds them in the present moment. And I think that's the trick, and that's the hardest thing to do. And that's what human beings have been doing for a very, very long time. And you'll find that most people who sort of are pretty calm, who get things done, who are really productive, they have some sort of practice like that, not necessarily meditation, but sports, cooking, something that they're so zoned into, right? So, I think it's important.
So around cooking, there's no food as good as the one which is made for you. Okay. So you know how that goes. But also you talk a lot about just breaking through the noise, and you always talk about, hey, the world is just full of distraction. There's just so much coming at you. So talk to us a little bit how you stay true to that. How do you think that impacted your thinking, and how do you manage that?
So noise is a constant thing, and it's a constant barrage of information and everything and all the time. Noise for me gives me it gives me a lot of analysis paralysis, right? And just from the way that I've found that I operate, like if you ever do a disc test, I'm like a high I, so I need everything in order and that kind of thing. So for me, a lot of noise is super distracting. So, and it's something that you need to deal with all the time. So by recognizing that, I can fix up my environment is the first thing. But the external noise that comes in, the best way I've found to deal with it really is to just be aware of it and chunk it down. This is not a new thing. I think Tony Robbins talks about this all the time, which is probably where I learned it from. But okay, the noise is coming in. You recognize the noise. You accept the noise. You understand the noise. And then it's really about, okay, what do I do with this noise? What do I need to, trying to figure out, is it holding me back from doing something? Am I procrastinating? What's that noise affecting me? And what do I want to achieve? And then working backwards and breaking it into little steps. So in my case, it's like, okay, this noise is causing me, for instance, today had a lot of noise and I didn't want to make any client calls, right? Some cold outbound calls. And I was looking at the numbers. I've got a whole list of people to call, but I just wasn't doing it. And why wasn't I doing it? Because of the noise I had yesterday of people sort of being rude on the phone, but I had to just break it down step by step, take a deep breath. I love Mel Robbins. She's got a great technique called the 4-3-2-1, which is just a breathing thing. Yeah. So literally I said, okay, well, there's my dialer, there's my notepad, everything's ready. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just ring. So I think it's just breaking it down into little steps and trying to make it all a little bit achievable.
I love that, and you make it sound so simple. So, let's put yourself in the shoes of somebody who, I just had a really bad day, and if you don't mind, give me an example. So, if somebody you talked about yesterday, it was not the greatest day. Now, if there's somebody in the industry which knows, yesterday just didn't go the way I wanted to, and because if you stay in that, you will, the next day will become the same. So how do I get myself out of it? I love that you quote Mel Robbins. We're big fans of theirs. And, we actually worked with Chris Robbins. And we always tell this as a joke because as he had his pizza restaurants. But so help us understand a little bit. And maybe you could give us a tip or a trick, one of them. So you had a bad day yesterday. How do you get out of it, and how do you reground yourself for the following day?
Absolutely. So yesterday I was doing cold calls, right? And literally, as you're doing cold calls, this person on the other end obviously was having a bad day, or they didn't want to do it, but they said a lot of obscene things to me and just like, get out of my face. And then right in the moment, I took it really personal, like, oh my God, what have I done? All those things went into my head. I've disturbed this person. Am I really being rude? Yada, yada, yada. So for a few minutes, I was really in a funk, like, oh man, I don't want to make the next call. And so I basically just had to deal with it. I had to really look at the situation in its isolation, really get an understanding, as I mentioned, like this guy was probably having a bad day, or something was going on, and it's not me personally, because I'm not God. I don't have the ability to make someone stay bad unless I do something, really physical. So I didn't do any of these things to him. And so basically I just took a step back. I looked at my approach, and I just looked at all the steps that I normally would make when I make a phone call to ground myself and realize, actually, I did all the right things. There's nothing I really could have done better. And really that person was it just was what it was. Nothing I can change. It's in the past. Let's take a deep breath, take a time out, and then just work on the next one. So I think the essence there is realizing the funk that you're in, because we always get in a funk, realizing that there is a way out of the funk, and just really breaking it down into little steps if you can, which you can. And just working through it step by step and goal by goal until you get out of the funk.
I love that. And by the way, thanks for breaking that down. But it's so hard to get out of that, because if, I put myself in your shoes when, you know what? I think in 2007, I think I was that person. I didn't do the right thing, and it kind of plays in your mind. And for me, I love the way Tony Robbins, he uses the power stand and the breathing, what he does. And so for me, all of these tools and all of these tricks, what you learn from other people, I think can help you. And I want our audience just to go back 3 minutes, as Alvin started talking about it. I honestly believe if you do that, it doesn't matter what it is. It could kind of ground you, could kind of reset you, because running your own business, first of all, it's not easy. And second of all, you said it a few times. I didn't do anything to that person on the other phone. That something triggered them. There's something going on in their life. And, if you believe in the teachings of Wayne Dyer, he sent them, all green lights because they going through something. And so for me, I love that. And by the way, when I talk about it, I get goosebumps because with the things you just talked about, it's so true, and it doesn't matter what it is. And for me, that alone, by the way, was a huge life lesson. So for me, I want our audience to kind of go back and do that and kind of look at this differently. And then also for me, there's a few other things you talk about. One of the things you always say is that you have advice for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. So looking back at your entrepreneurship, for lack of better words, what would you tell somebody who is in the same shoes you were 10 or 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to actually back to the why and sort of have a vision. Like, it sounds so cliched, but like have some sort of high level picture on what you want out of your life and what makes you happy. Because I really believe that's the guiding star, right? Because then you can really start to work backwards to sort of, like Tim Ferriss said, design your life, right? But really knowing exactly what makes you happy, what do you love doing, and all those I think it's so important because, and I just keep saying it, you can work backwards. So I think that's the key there.
So you gave some advice to a aspiring entrepreneur. So now help us understand, what was the best advice you ever gotten you never acted on?
The best advice I never acted on? Oh my God.
Because I have a whole bunch of them. I can give you a whole bunch of them.
I think...
hold on. Or you act on late. Because for me, I was like, somebody said this to me 20 years ago. Yes.
Yeah, I've got a list a mile long, but I think the most important thing that stood out, and I think it was a function of my very first business coach, Casey Golden, who was a professional athlete. And I never did any exercise until my late 30s. And so I remember him always saying, you got to get to the gym. You need to work on your body as well as this, your mind. So that was some advice where I wish I had taken it up a lot sooner. I didn't get into sort of taking care of my body and all that kind of thing until very, very much later on in life. Because what Casey was trying to tell me, and what a lot of people tell me, like, it all works together, your mind, your body, and everything. And it's the whole vessel needs to be taken care of. So I wish I would have done that sooner. But hey, making up for it now.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm talking to myself,
right?
Because I was in the shoes. Somebody said, Christian, you do everything right. I went to a program called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition back in 2005. And I got board certified by the American Association of Drug-Free Practitioners. So I know I'm very cautious in what I eat. But he said, Christian, that's just a snapshot. You need to work out. I was like, I really don't have time to work out. I'm doing so many other things, and for me, there was one thing he always said. He says, you know what? And by the way, he's in amazing shape. He is 65, 66, 8% body fat. I hate him for that. But he always said, he says, it's a six-pack tax, and you will pay. If you could pay it up front or you pay it in the end, you always will pay for it. And for me, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it's so true. And for me, when I look at your story, when I look at your history of how you have evolved and you're incredibly good in what you do, for me, it's just one of those life lessons I wish I would have had adapted sooner. And it's so absolutely true. So, by the way, I can talk to you forever, but I want to find out, what does Alvin work on Alvin for the rest of the year? So what's on the agenda for you, and what do you have planned for your business over the next few months? So let us look a little bit behind the scenes. What's going on with you and with your business?
Yeah, okay. So with me, it's really easy, right? Because I really know what I want. I love adventure. I love travel. So I've got a lot of travel booked in for the next few months, a lot of adventure stuff. Heading through to Austria, believe it or not, in July, I think, on the way down to South Tyrol. So we've got that booked in. I have a meditation retreat booked in later on during the year here in Germany for 10 days. So that's going to be really good fun. And I think we've planned everything up until September. So I think that's really important for me. So I do the Stephen Covey planning the year, and I also do that with my clients. We work on the big rocks first, and for me, the big rock stuff is that stuff, and then we fill everything around the rest. So, and then of course, for business-wise, I work with retail business owners, and I help them grow their business. Basically, what I was doing when I had my pharmacy. So, I'm looking at making sure that I help more people, that I can provide value to them, and continue to bring more people into my coaching program. And also, my next biggest passion is I love buying businesses. So I'm hoping to buy a couple of businesses this year, looking in the UK and the US. And so those are some pretty minor goals that I've got that we're working on.
I love that. I love that. So I want to say thanks for sharing so openly and being with us here today. But before we go, I want to ask you, are you up for playing something called Rapid Fire Question Food Service?
Let's go. Love it.
So, but before we start that, help our audience to learn a little bit more about you. How can they learn more about you? How can they read up on you? How can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. If you type my name into Google, all my digital assets will come up, but you can find me at Alvin Narsey Coaching. If you need some help growing your retail store, your bricks and mortar retail store. If you're looking to sell your business, I might buy it off you, and that's aishacapitalpartners.com. You can go to my LinkedIn, but really just type my name in Google and you can contact me in so many different ways. So, and I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And I encourage our listeners to go and check this out, because there's one teaching you always talk about. If your business fails, look in the mirror, because that's most likely you. If your business succeeds, look in the mirror, because it's most likely you. So for me, it's so true. And for me, I think that's one of the greatest things you teach out there in the marketplace, because everything rises and falls around your leadership. So for me, that's really something I connected with. So with that, are you up for playing Rapid Fire Question Food Service?
Yeah, let's go.
And I asked my team to give you the hardest question, because you are, German, and Austria is the better Germany. So we ask them, give me really hard questions. So the way this works is we have 68 questions now, which we funnel through. And based on your history and your background, we use an AI tool, which came up with 25. So today we have 25 questions for you. So Mr. Alvin, are you ready playing Rapid Fire Question Food Service Edition? Awesome. So the way it works is I ask you for a number between 1 and 25. I read out the question, and then you answer yes or no, and why. So we want to know why you're doing next. Okay, so you game. So give me number 1. What is your
22.
first number? 22. Ooh. Should you ever try to deep fry salad just to see what happens? Yes or no, and why?
No. A deep fried salad? No.
Yes.
No. And why? Well, hopefully when you're eating a salad, you've got really good quality ingredients. And as you know, chef, if you've got really, really good quality ingredients, you don't need anything else, maybe just a little bit of salt, a little bit of olive oil, and some acid. But I don't think you should be frying a fresh salad, unless it's a courgette salad that's like with courgette flowers. That's different. But strictly speaking, I don't think so.
So true. I'm not sure where the question came from. Okay, give me a number between 1 and 25.
7.
7. Ooh. Would you ever wear pajamas while cooking just to see if it makes your food taste better? Yes or no, and why?
No, because I don't own pajamas. So that answers it right there.
Okay, enough said. We don't need to know anything more, but I appreciate it. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
Let's go 13.
13. Ooh, should mac and cheese be eaten straight from the pot? No questions asked. Yes or no, and why?
Yes. Mac and cheese straight from the pot? Yes.
I agree. And so many people say, no, it can't. Oh, yeah. It's the best. Especially in the corner, a little bit of the crust. Oh, it's the best. It's
absolutely
the best. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
Oh, my God. Let's go 25.
25. Ooh, oldie but goodie. Pineapple on the pizza. Yes or no, and why?
No. Now that I've been living in Europe for a little while and I've eaten proper pizza in Italy, I really appreciate this is just my style. I really appreciate a minimal pizza. Like when you go to Napoli or something like that. So just give me some sauce, a few different ingredients, maybe some meat, but I haven't found a combination that works well with pineapple on pizza yet for me.
There's a whole movement. Bring the pineapple back. Bring the pineapple
People
back.
love it.
Okay, last number. Give me a number between 1 and 25.
18.
18. Ooh. Is it okay to eat dessert first and call it reverse dining?
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's no questions there.
I'm not sure about that because mom always said, make sure you eat your food first and then have dessert. So I'm not sure if that counts. Reverse dining. Just saying. So with that, I want to say thanks for being here today. Thanks for sharing your strategies, your thoughts, your not just format the way you look at life, the way you support your clients. We absolutely love that. So, but before you go, there's one question we have. And the question is really simple. If you wouldn't do what you do today, what else would you do?
I don't know. I'm doing what I love. I got taught that very early on. So what else would I be doing? Like I don't know. I'd be doing this. I'm doing everything that I love. So it sounds so corny. I apologize, but
So I think what Alvin is saying, he will go into the food industry. He will be a chef. And I really, really appreciate it. As much as you love food, you post about food pictures all the time. So I know you will be a chef, and we appreciate it. So, no, Alvin, I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for the gift of your time, and thanks for sharing your insights. And thanks for coming in late. I know it's late for you in Europe. So I want to just say thanks for the gift of your time, and thanks for doing this with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And for our listeners, if you haven't done so, make sure you like today's episode and write us below. What did you really connect with what Alvin talked about? What was a thing you feel like you want to implement from what you learned today? And then also write in, hey, I think this guy needs to know about it, and share this episode with any of your friends you feel they can learn a ton from this episode today. Also, click the notification bell so you always know when there's a new episode coming out there. So with that, I want to say thanks for being here today. Until next time, disrupt your kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian here with Mr. Alvin, and we are out of here. So we are signing off. So for you guys, go out there, be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. With that, Mr. Alvin, thanks for being here today. We really appreciate you. And to our listeners, go out and be disruptive, everybody.